So Salem's Lot's getting remade, and I was thinking, what are 3 other movies from the 1970s, horror films, that should be remade? Here's my top 3. So number 3, Phantasm. Phantasm is a weird, spooky movie about an old man, this flying robot thing. That movie is kind of all over the place. Boy. Watched it not too long ago. It's very random and very weird, and I was like, this could use some horror aesthetic, a nice little goofy, cheesy horror aesthetic. Let's get James Wan. James Wan loves his haunted house movies. And since this movie takes partly in, kind of like a cemetery, places where bodies, like a mortuary, in a house, I'm like, this guy, give him 3 sets, and he can make that movie into a haunted house feel. And it's called Phantasm. I feel like that's the type of name for that type of movie. Very cool name. Let's get James Wan in there. So that's my number 3. Number 2, Darren Aronofsky should make a Clockwork Orange. Now, a Clockwork Orange, great movie. Could it be remade? Yes. Because what everyone remembers from that movie is that the first act is great and the rest of the movie is okay. When Alex DeLarge goes to prison, that's the movie's okay. I love the point of the movie. But imagine extending that first act for a very long time. Start the movie in the prison, and then he's flashbacking. Like, he's like this, and he's flashbacking to his life. And make that the rest of the movie, was how he was. And then you could end it back to the point where he's lying about becoming sane again. Darren Aronofsky is very, into the psychology of characters. You look at Black Swan, and I was like, this guy has a visceral rawness to his characters. He's not going to hold back. And I feel like you give him 3 psychopaths, and he's the type of guy who will make that movie good. I feel like he's the guy to bring a psychological thriller, if he's going to remake one, and remake it better than it was. But he's never done it. And A Clockwork Orange is that movie. I want to see a Darren Aronofsky Clockwork Orange. You know you do. You know you do. That'd be really good. I want to see those 3 kicking ass and killing people and being absolutely vicious sinners for a longer period of time. Because that's the greatest part of that film. The greatest part of that film is when they are absolute psychopaths, walking around murdering women with giant dildo things, dildo statues, rapists fighting rapists. I mean, you don't have to show full-on rape, but let's make this an NC-17 psychopathic film that doesn't hold back and doesn't spend their whole movie in a prison. Number 1, Suspiria. Luca Guadagnino, is that his name? I think his name. He remade Suspiria. He had a much better story and script, but he took away the visual style. It was very dry to me. So for number 1, Nicholas Winding Refn needs to direct Suspiria. Remake it. Because the 1977 one has all the style and has a great score. Let's listen to Goblin. Listen to Witch. Fantastic music in the original Suspiria. The new one had some good music. Made by Tom Ford. Not Tom Ford. Tom Ford's a fashion guy. Tom something. He made some great music for it. But let's take it back to that crazy, wild, like percussion, spooky, horror movie, fucking haunted house music that they had. They had some crazy music in the 1977 Suspiria. I want some great music, maybe by the Disaster Piece who made It Follows music. Great cinematography, great lighting, a beautiful set. All these things, all these stylish things that made the original Suspiria great were removed from the remake. So let's keep the great script, keep the more in-depth characters, keep the better dialogue, but let's bring the style back. Because I don't know why they sucked out the style. They sucked out the visual flair that made Suspiria great. And Nicholas Winding Refn, if anything, is known for his style. I mean, I'm watching Euphoria right now, and Euphoria looks like if Nicholas Winding Refn made a teen drama show. It was visually great. But this man's made Neon Demon, Drive, Only God Forgives. All, if you don't like what's happening in the film, are all beautiful to look at. So let's bring the style back. Get someone else to write it. Get a good writer. And make him the director. Those are my top 3. Phantasm by James Wan. A Clockwork Orange by Darren Aronofsky. And Suspiria by Nicholas Winding Refn. Top 3. What are your top 3 1970s horror films that should be remade? Since they're remaking Salem's Lot. Salem's Lot I thought was So I'm glad they're remaking it.